not Vincent Jackson. Who the heck am I talking about? Keenan Allen. Start him. He is a must-play this week. He should have a breakout game this week. Antonio Gates, you start him too. And I even got a feeling at some point they're going to sit Antonio Gates. And our good friend, what's his name?
Ladarius Green.
Ladarius Green, yes, Ladarius Green. They're going to get Ladarius Green in, and I think he could even make an impact this week. So pick the Chargers, play them all. And for the Jaguars, you know who I kind of like is this young kid, Allen Robinson. Alan Hearns as well as Cecil Short seem to be getting, and Marquise Lee seem to be getting all the attention, but it's really Allen Robinson that seems to be getting a ton of passes, a ton of targets, and he's actually doing something with it. So I think if you need him as a wide receiver 3, you can play him. Toby Gerhardt, you might have to play him, but he's a shaky start, if only because once a team gets away from them in terms of the score, the Jaguars are giving up on the run way too early, and that's the problem. Go Chargers.
All righty then. Next up,
Falcons.
The Atlanta Falcons. I know. Just give me a second.
I'm just saying.
Give me a second. You're so impatient sometimes. You're tempestuous.
60 minutes. Come on.
Look that up. You're tempestuous sometimes.
I will.
The Atlanta Falcons travel to the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings, another team with a rookie quarterback. It's now the beginning of the Teddy Bridgewater era. The Falcons coming off that. Well, it wasn't embarrassing for them. It was an embarrassing loss for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that they handed down, where they benched most of their starters by the third or fourth quarter there. It was an absolutely unwatchable game because the Falcons just went out and just destroyed them. The Vikings are one of those teams where they're just you look at that team and they should play better than they do. And that being said, Teddy Bridgewater, I don't anticipate Bridgewater being the type of player that's going to make mistakes. The problem is that they're going to go with Matt Asiata in the backfield, not some guy named Adrian Peterson. So that's going to tempt the Falcons to really crowd the box and make Bridgewater beat them. Can he beat them? Possibly. Will he? I'm not sure. So I'm going to pick the Falcons on the road.
I'm going to pick the Falcons too, but this is a statement game for the Vikings, I think, and here's why. If you look at them defensively, they are ranked number 9 at 18.7 points allowed to their opponents. If you look at them offensively, they're scoring an average of 16.7 points per game. All they have to do is make up 2 points every single week, and they could be back in business. Is Teddy Bridgewater that guy? I don't know, but they're going to make him be that guy. They have to make him be that guy because it's the only way they're going to do better than those averages and start winning some ball games. So let's see if the Vikings defense is for real. This is going to be the game that, for me, proves it one way or another. We're either going, oh, yeah, it's just the Vikings, or we're saying, wow, this team's got a really good defense, and you might want to consider playing them in fantasy. But we'll see after this week. Otherwise, Matt Asiata, he's an RB2 against the Falcons defense, giving up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing running backs. He makes for a great start this week. And then you got Cordarrelle Patterson, who, because of the numbers that I just explained, is sort of, I know he hasn't done great things for people outside of what he did in week 1, but you got to keep playing him, and you got to keep viewing him as a wide receiver too. They need to get this guy the ball in space. They just have to. They cannot keep ignoring it, and the Falcons are the perfect team. I mean, give it to him out of the backfield and be able to run through that number 2, number 3 fantasy points allowed defense. Just give it to him. Falcons win.
You want to say give it to him one more time? I'm gonna
give it to him.
I'm going to have to make a soundbite out of that. I'll make that a sound effect. Oh, my gosh. All right, moving on. The Philadelphia Eagles at the San Francisco 49ers. Oh, my gosh, what has happened to the 49ers? 2 years ago, they were in the Super Bowl, and now there's whispers that Jim Harbaugh could be on his way out. The people are bringing up the Michigan job and all this. Cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria. The defense, they can run the ball still. Give them that. Philadelphia's offense is everything we thought they would be. They put up a lot of points, and while they have been a tad lackluster, as if you're judging them by performance through an entire game, they beat the Jaguars by 17, and in week 2, the Colts hung with them early and then ran out of gas late, and then the Redskins were right there too, and only losing by 3 last week. So, how on earth can you pick the Eagles in this game, Keith, you might ask? Because I have two sets of eyeballs, and the 49ers have not played well in the last 2 weeks to warrant any kind of faith. Losing to the Bears in a game they should have won, and then losing to the Cardinals in a game that they were leading early and just, again, couldn't figure out how to do it in the second half. Whatever's going on in San Francisco, it doesn't get fixed this week. I know they were without Vernon Davis last week, and he should be back this week. Maybe that makes a difference, but I just think the Eagles have too much firepower on offense. I'm taking Philadelphia.
And, the reason why you take Philadelphia is this. This is a game where the Eagles' offense should show how good it is versus a suspect secondary. That secondary could not handle Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey, and I don't see it handling the an array of passing weapons that the Eagles have. So you're starting Nick Foles, Jeremy Maclin, Zach Ertz. I like LaShawn McCoy, even though this is a tough game. If he's just running it out of the backfield, the 49ers are tough in that regard. But if they're actually throwing the ball, you got to like it. And same thing with Darren Sproles. These are all players that should definitely be active. And, I got to tell you, because of how few decent players there are this week, there are going to be some owners that will be considering playing Jordan Matthews, and why not? He's been highly targeted. Last week he had a breakout game, 50 yards receiving, 2 TDs. There's nothing wrong with sneaking him in as a wide receiver 3 if you need the help. In terms of the 49ers, because I think this is going to turn into a passing game, I mean, they'll stick with the run, making Frank Gore a solid play, and Carlos Hyde sort of an outside flex looking in. But, Colin Kaepernick will be a solid play. He's a low quarterback 1. Michael Crabtree will be a solid play, and so should Vernon Davis. He should back at full strength, ready to go. But at the end, Chip Kelly should prevail.
The New Orleans Saints travel to the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, the Cowboys. The Cowboys, the Cowboys, the Cowboys. The luster is off the star. There's one thing that scares me, and before I give it, I might give away my pick by saying it this way, but there's one thing that scares me, and that is that the 2014 New Orleans Saints are ranked 29th in passing yards allowed. That doesn't necessarily bode well facing Tony Romo and Des Bryant, but they have the 9th best rushing defense as far as yards allowed. The Cowboys, on the other hand, are in the top 5 in rushing yards gained. So something's got to give here, and I'm not going to bet against Drew Brees against this Cowboys passing defense, which is lackluster. I just think New Orleans has more offense, and even though they have lost both of their games on the road earlier this year, I'm going to pick them to get off the road schneid here against Dallas.
And this bodes well. Drew Brees is from Texas. They're playing indoors, so at a minimum, I mean, it's an indoor game, which is exactly how they love to play, fast and quick on the flat turf. So it's going to be a shootout. You've hit it. Everybody hit it. They're going to hit it. Drew Brees, start him. Marcus Colston, start him. Brandon Cooks, start him. Jimmy Graham, start him. Pierre Thomas, start him. Kiri Robinson, even start him. Make him a flex if you need the help. Okay, you can even start the Saints defense against basically what is a turnover-prone Cowboys team who will hang with the Saints because they'll throw the ball out. Tony Romo makes for an QB1. DeMarco Murray is a weekly must-start, as is Des Bryant. I like Terrence Williams here. One person I'm definitely worried about is Jason Witten. He hasn't really done much this season, and part of it is, he might still be targeted, but it's not as much as he should be. He's not a big part of the offense like he should be. They're using him to block, and they really need to get him out of there. They need to free him up because they're not going to be able to do it without 3-4 receiver types out there in the open field. I don't know. The Cowboys have some things to work on in the offseason, and the Saints, they have some things they need to work on in the in-season. I'm hoping that defensively they do some nice things to help their team along because they're going to need a much better defense to go deep into the playoffs. I'm going to take the Saints on the road, too.
All right, and our final game of the week, the New England Patriots travel to the Kansas City Chiefs. Jim, do you have an injury update on Jamal Charles? Have you heard anything today?
I did not even check, but only to note that he worked out last time, and for whatever reason, they held him back, but I'm expecting him back this week.
All right, so the Chiefs get Jamal Charles back. Heads up to all you Nile Davis owners, including me. The Patriots, on the other side of the ball, have been absolutely abhorrent on offense. These New England Patriots rank 27th in passing yards, 22nd in rushing yards, 21st in passing TDs. This is Tom Brady's team. What is the world coming to? The NFL is all flip-flop. Next thing you know, you're going to have a bunch of players beating their wives. Oh, wait, sorry. Bad example. The Kansas City Chiefs are...
That was really bad.
I'm sorry. The Kansas City Chiefs are... they're not lighting the world on fire by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a primetime game at home, and I am going to pick against the New England Patriots and take the Chiefs at home in this game.
I'm not. I'm going to stick with the Patriots, and I'm sticking with the Patriots because the one thing that they do have is a great defense. It's the number 4 defense in terms of points allowed, 16.3 points allowed per game, and then they're number 1 against the pass at 168.7 yards per game. So all that does is leave the Chiefs' rushing game. So you got Jamal Charles, who by himself, or Niles Davis, whoever gets the start, by themselves, fantasy-wise, are a great plays. But they're going up against a team that's giving up roughly 104 yards per game rushing. That's pretty good. In fantasy, they even throw in a touchdown. That's not bad. That's exactly what a guy like Jamal Charles can use. But that's good in fantasy. It's not good in reality. And the Chiefs, they're just... Offensively, Alex Smith won't be able to get the passing game going. When they're one-dimensional in the rushing game, it's not going to be enough against a Patriots team that, while their passing game is struggling, the Chiefs are still giving up over 200 yards per game, and better than that is they're giving up over 130 yards per game rushing. So I love Stephen Ridley. I love Shane Vereen in this game. You can get them both in as RB2s or flex plays, even better yet. Start Tom Brady if you need him as a low QB1, Julian Edelman, Rob Gronkowski, and definitely start the Patriots DST. I'm going with the Patriots on the road.
All right.
Wow, Keith.
You didn't think we could do it?
I didn't think we could do it, and I wanted it to even be quicker about it, but that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, folks, that is it. We are out of time. Thanks for joining us. We're here every Wednesday night to give you your free fantasy football advice. You can catch this on demand at latenightsportsradio.com. You can also find us on iTunes. Look for the Late Night Sports Radio account. Catch all the shows of all week. You do not want to miss any of those. For Jim Sarantias from thefantasygreek.com, I'm Keith Grieve from 87sportsfans.com. Good luck, and may the odds be forever in your favor.
The party's over.